This is a slice of stuffed cabbage with potatoes, leeks, sausage, pine nuts. This is the magnificent construction from whence it was sliced. You want to learn how to make this? Give me a couple minutes. I'm going to show you how. So this dish comes from the Alpine region of Italy. It's absolutely one of my favorites. And the first thing that you're going to need is a head, even though this is pretty beat up and a little small, of Savoy cabbage. I'm gonna show you how we make this work. Essentially, we're gonna core it. I'm going to stick it into a pot of almost simmering water. I'm gonna peel off these layers, line a bowl, stuff it with our goodies, wrap it up, tie it with some string, and we're gonna bake it and then cut this, and probably be good for 2 or 3 people, maybe 4. Rich, satisfying, cheesy, delicious cabbage, sausage, a little bit of cheese, leeks, doesn't get any better. We want that out of there. And I'm gonna go at it with a short, thin knife. It's about 6.5 inches. And I am just gonna stick my blade at about a 45-degree angle, pointing in to the middle so that I can take the core out like so. I'm just gonna take this bigger piece of core out of the middle there, and there you have it. Water that's about 200 degrees. You can see it's almost coming to a simmer. And all I want to do is place this on its side, and I turn it a couple times. And what this does is it gets hot water in between some of those layers of cabbage, and then when I turn it like this and let it sit there, slowly but surely it's going to give up its leaves. As a matter of fact, with your thumb, you can almost, well, you can wiggle off those beautiful, beautiful leaves. Next thing we want to do, let's cut our leek. I usually always try to get this about right where that first notch is on that leaf, but I can see here we've got a little bit of creamy white center, just about 1 inch north. So I'm gonna actually cut that there. I'm gonna save this for stock. Cut the end off. This outer leaf is a little just beat up. And look, once we've cut into this, this is absolutely perfect. I'm going to bisect this lengthwise and inspect it for dirt. And I can see there's always a few little bits of little muddiness sort of hanging around. So I'm gonna rinse this, give it a dry, and then slice it. Some people like to slice it and then rinse it and spin it dry. Obviously Clemenza does, chiming in from the cheap seats, but I like to just rinse it because down here on the stem end part, I know how to do a leek. Well, yes, I do. Man, dogs, what would you do with them? You know, what would you do without them? Anyway, we're gonna give these a little rinse, pat them dry, and then I'm gonna mince them up. All right, so just a really fine slice. I want to go nice and slow and get the totality of this leek, because it is going to be a very important part of our stuffing. The crucial part, we're also going to put some sliced cabbage heart. This is the heart of that Savoy cabbage, different than all the leaves that we've peeled off, right? That are blanched. Yummy. Lots of green in here. So I have about 6-7 ounces of Italian sausage. This is not cased up. I make this myself, but you can use good Italian sausage. If it comes from an Italian pork store, all the better, but supermarket will do just fine. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna saute my sausage and my leeks together. I'm gonna add some seasoning, a little bit of thyme, a little bit of dried mint, and then we're gonna set that aside, enrich it with an egg, enrich it with our sliced potatoes that you'll see, and then we'll get going stuffing our cabbage. There's fat in this sausage, so I don't need to add any oil or butter or anything to the pan. In fact, I want to color this pork up and brown it a little bit. See how much fat I give off. So we'll let that just brown for a little bit. Well, super proud of myself. I don't have a lot of residual fat in there at all, which means I made a really nice sausage. Add my leeks, some pepper, some salt, and I've got this on a medium setting, which is fine. Maybe I'll just crank that up a notch. Add about a teaspoon of olive oil. I think you could probably use it. And we're just going to slowly let that cook. Now, I want to add some herbs. I've got some thyme. I've got a little bit of dried mint, which I love with this dish. And we will just let that cook in there with our sausage and our leeks. Once my leeks have wilted and all of the herbs are aromatic and the sausage is cooked through, we don't want to dry it out, this is ready. We can just scrape this into a bowl and start building our stuffing. So I just put that here into this work bowl. Really, really, really simple idea. I'm going to add some julienne cabbage, and I'm going to try to slice this as thinly as I can. It's still, you know, got a little bit of crispness to it. When it hits that hot leek mixture, you would think it would wilt some more, but you know, there's not much of that sausage and leek mixture. So I don't know, I've got about a cup of that cabbage. I'm gonna add it in there right now. Obviously, when it does cook, when we bake this, it is going to condense and compact, but we're gonna stuff this pretty boldly in the sense that we're gonna really fill it tightly and then tie it together. Let's add a couple tablespoons of toasted pine nuts. Very important that those are toasted. Let's add a beautiful farm fresh egg, and I'm just gonna beat this egg and then fold all this together. The mixture's not too hot. As a matter of fact, it's already lukewarm. I can feel the bottom of the bowl. This is just perfect. I'm gonna microwave 1 garlic clove. Did I say microwave or microplane? I sure hope I said microplane. Toss that around. Beautiful. Next thing that I want to do, add my cheese. I have a piece of Gorgonzola Dolce. And my Gorgonzola Dolce is very ripe. But I still want to make sure with my hands that I'm able to sort of break this up. It's very creamy, very sweet, very delicious. And I just need a few ounces, just a little bit. Otherwise, it's gonna overwhelm the flavor of everything else. Taking a little vegetable slicer and a large peeled Idaho baking potato, your classic russet. I am going to slice this and we're going to take these slices of potato and we're going to brown them in a little bit of butter. So I'm not really a big fan of doing dishes. I do a lot of dishes, but I'm not a fan of it. I have a pan here. You're going to see I'm going to wind up cooking the cabbage in here too. I put a little bit of olive oil in there as well. Remember where this dish is from. It is from that mountainous region where the Italian Alps meet the Swiss Alps. I first had a dish like this as a young child with my father in Cervinia. One side of the Matterhorn is Cervinia, an Italian ski resort. The other side is Zermatt, a Swiss ski resort. heavenly vacation with my old man when I was little. And we're just waiting for those first little bubbles to develop. And I can start, I don't know if you can pick those up, but I can start to see little bubbles. And I just want to go in there with a layer of potatoes. You know, these are neither too thick nor too thin. If they're too thin, they fall apart. If they're too thick, they won't cook through. And what do I have in there? 10 of them. Just gonna let those cook. And after 3 or 4 minutes, I'm just taking my spatula and turning these potatoes. I don't want to fry them. I'm not trying to get them crispy. And I just want to cook them all the way through. Don't those look delicious? And after about 5 minutes of total cooking time, I'm just going to slide these out onto this plate. I'm going to add another layer of potatoes. So now it's arts and crafts time, which of course is everyone's favorite time. I take a string big enough so that I can tie it off, and I drape it like so. And then I do another one at an angle. And then I do another one at an angle. I do 3. Some people like to do 4, it's easier. I don't necessarily find it any easier. As long as you can understand that you want 6 sections, all roughly the same size. And it's super easy taking the largest leaves of cabbage first. I have the largest ones going to the smallest ones near the middle. I probably have about 8 leaves. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to cut some of that stem off to lay these like so. Of course, I had to take the biggest problem child one that has a piece missing, but good that you see this at its worst. Oh boy, this is gonna be so yummy. And here's my 3rd big leaf. These are the 3 largest outer leaves. And you can see I've got a little area here that needs a little help, right? So let's lay another leaf here. And let's take this piece and use that as a little patch. And then all I want to do is take, I don't know, a little more than half, maybe 2/3 of my sausage mixture, put it there. I'm going to take a cabbage leaf, tear it in half, and lay that in there. Now my potatoes. And I'm just going to lay these, you know, remember this is going to get sliced. So on one hand, we want to make this nice. But on the other hand, it is going to get cut. So we can make this lovely, just like so. Look at that. Here's my layer of about 2 ounces of gorgonzola. A little goes a long way, even though it's gorgonzola dolce. And then the rest of my sausage mixture, the rest of my potato. You see I've cut that cabbage like so. Do you see the way this has a spine there that's very knobby? I hold this like this, and I literally cut through So that's completely off, right? But, and I'm gonna lay this in the opposite direction as the other one, because this is stuffed cabbage, right? Cabbage being the operative word. And then I always save, I have this one here to stick at the bottom, because right now it's a construction issue, right? Look at that. That's beautiful. And then what I want to do is very carefully and firmly tie this off. And then this one goes across to meet this one. So you see what's happening here? And then finally, this last one. One, two, three. That is perfect. So remember before I told you I don't like to wash dishes? I have a little bit of oil and butter and all of that yummy fond from all that caramelizing. I'm gonna put that right in there. I'm gonna add a cup of stock first. And then I'm going to place this in a 375-degree oven for about an hour. Let that bake, scrape down the sides a little bit, add a little more broth if it reduces too quickly, and then we start eating. Open up the oven. In goes our choux farci, stuffed cabbage. See you in an hour. I want to serve something with this, and I wanted to cut through the richness of this dish. So I have some chopped parsley and some chopped tarragon. I've got some Calabrian chili here. I just want a little bit of heat, not a lot, just like, you know, half a teaspoon if you like it a little spicier. Juice of a lemon, and then I'm going to puree it with some olive oil. There we go. And the best thing that I know of to puree this with is an immersion wand. Ooh. Yeah. How's that for spectacular? So, obviously, this is tied together with 3 different strings. What I want to do, and yes, I should tell you, about halfway through, I drizzled about 1.5 teaspoons of olive oil on top of that to promote some even browning. Now, this is going to hold together very easily because of the way in which we constructed it. If you remember, we stuffed it and then we put a couple different layers of cabbage, cut the stems out, the stem piece in the middle, and then pushed them together and pushed it down. So this is really gonna be nice. We want that to sort of settle down there a little bit. I have all of these wonderful juices in the bottom. Remember that chicken stock, that white congealed part is actually fat and dairy juices combined. So all I want to do, and remember I also have those brown sticky bits, the fond in there from the sauteing of the leeks, the sausage, and the potatoes. So I'm just going to put this on the stove and put a high flame underneath it and just glaze it for a second. I put our herby olive oil with just a little bit of Calabrian chili. It's not spicy, it just has a little bit of tang to it here. I think it'll be lovely. It must be good because the dogs are going crazy. And then while we're waiting, you know, I don't like to bring this to the table with the string on it. Wow, just beautiful. And this will feed four for dinner with a nice salad, maybe some crusty bread. Using a strainer, just throw some of those juices around there. That way you don't get any of that clutter in there, but is that beautiful or what? That's delicious food right there. So now's the fun part, which is slicing this and serving it. Some people like to go all the way across and then make some cuts. The only issue with going all the way across is that, unlike a pie, this is a stuffed, soft thing. So I actually think it's better if you just sort of go into the middle and just make two cuts, and then use a triangular spatula. It's a beautiful one that Jill Rickers made at Eating Tools, which is where she sells them, also on her website. And then all you do is go in and lift out. Yeah, that's right. You know you've got some nice construction when it basically stays together. Well, I guess it did stay together completely. I mean, a couple of little pine nuts falling out to me is not anything to be worried about. And then all I want to do is take a little bit of my herb sauce and just spoon it onto one side. Just 2 teaspoons is fine. And how does it taste? Well, as you can see, I housed almost the entire piece before I even could turn on my phone. That was just perfect. A few ounces of sausage, a few ounces of cheese, 3/4 of a potato. Each thing in harmony with the other. That chili spiked lemon and herb olive oil. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. You're gonna want to make that. You're gonna want to make this. I want to see your version. Let me know how it works out for you. Trust me, looks hard, but watch that video, right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy.